modules. So module 1, I would spend a lot of time marking up papers, correcting papers, and it would be hard to recognize the paper at the end. So many red marks and yeah. And module 1, I also gave students the choice. Some submitted them online, others handed them in. So I realized that something had to be done. There had to be more organization. Module 2, I made students simply get a writing folder so we can see some progress. I think that definitely helped with the organization factor. And I didn't implement the error log yet, but I encouraged students to look over their previous assignments. So at least I was able to incorporate some level of organization in the classroom. Then you can see it's kind of like a culmination. Module 3, I decided to incorporate the error logs, right? Mainly because I wanted students to have a more systematic and organized approach to the correction process. All right, what is an error log? Not going to read this whole thing. You can read it by yourselves. But it basically puts students more in control of the correction process. They have to document and attempt to correct their errors. All right, moving on. What do students need? All right, firstly, a folder, right? There may be some grunts, some groans, especially if students, didn't use a folder in their previous classes. But that's normal, that's expected. So just any type of folder. Then an error log, which I will get to shortly. There are many different templates, many different ways that you can do this. I printed them out and gave them to students. Then we will also need the university error code, all right, which I printed out as well. Students kept the error log and the university error code in their folders. All right, sorry the format is a little bit off here, but as you can see, this is just one of many different templates. Of course, these should be columns here. And of course, you can adjust this, you can adapt it to your class, to your level. I was teaching B runners when I started this project. So I didn't use the last column. I just had 3, right? The sentence with error, the type of error, and the corrected sentence. And this kind of error is from the university error sheet, right? Could be wrong words, WW, wrong tense, WT, wrong word, order, WO, punctuation P, whatever it is. I don't know why it does this. Sometimes when I transfer them over to Blackboard, but I think you can. At the end, though, there's some things that are cut off. Okay, so let's look at the procedure. So first step, right? Students hand in their assignment, and you will use the university error code to correct the papers. Right? However you want to draw attention to that error, you could also underline them, just write the error code above it. Next step, teachers make note of the 3 most frequent error types at the top of the paper. So once you are done correcting, maybe the most frequent error type was wrong word, right? So that would be your first one, WW at the top. Maybe the second most frequent error was punctuation, then you would put a P. Maybe the third most frequent was spelling. right? So students will make 2 entries, right, for each error type. So for each assignment, there will be 6 total entries, right? And of course, they will start their error logs once the papers have been handed back. So after that, teachers can check to see if the entries have been made, if the new sentences are correct, or if students understand the nature of the error or mistake, which I think we do normally anyway, right? So this step wasn't really any different from what I had done in Module 1. So this next one, 5, I did not follow this. This is how it was explained to me. Students write the 3 most frequent errors from their previous paper at the top of their next writing assignment, right? So for their next paper, I would not be responsible for looking for those error types, right? But like I said before, this can be adjusted to fit your learner group. I was teaching BRN, so I didn't follow this last step too closely, right? I was flexible with this last step. And sorry again, guys, for the formatting issues. Ah, all right. Back to the key questions. Do error logs save time? You can't see it at the bottom, right? But I think this largely depends on how you are used to grading papers. I'd say most of the time was spent in the beginning, introducing students to the concept of error logs. They had many questions. They were grunting and groaning. But after, I'd say like week 2, once we got things organized, the process started to go more smoothly. And I think just from my personal experience in Module 1, it saved me a lot of time during the initial correcting process, especially once you become more familiar with the error codes, which you probably use already, right? It just becomes second nature. All right, do error logs help students stay organized? Yeah, definitely. And you can't see here at the bottom, right? Many students told me that they reference their logs before they're writing assessments or just as weekend study tools, right? So I didn't actually think about it from that perspective before I started it, but they looked back, over their previous assignments quite a bit from the feedback that I got. Oh, I need that information at the end. Okay, do error logs boost learner autonomy? Yeah, definitely. I think just the nature in which error logs work, it puts uh, more emphasis on learner autonomy, right? They take control of the correction process. Of course, it's guided, right? Teacher is there to help and to make sure that the corrections are correct, that the students make. At the end here, I often observe students taking initiative by working on their error logs with their classmates, right? And this is something that you could do as well, if a lot of the stronger students, they naturally finish, quickly. I would pair them up with some of the weaker students. And instead of individually, working on their error logs, they can work in pairs or in groups. There's many different ways that you could orchestrate that. But I like the fact that they were doing that. Like I said, once we got the ball rolling a little bit in week 2, they started to do that by themselves. And instead of just coming to me, hojam, is this correct? They were looking back, at the previous assignments or asking classmates. So I really like that factor. Okay, and the main question, do error logs help students learn from their previous errors and mistakes? Yeah, okay. I would say the answer to that question was inconclusive, right? COVID-19, right? I think it was only 4 weeks we had with module 3, correct? 4 weeks. So I didn't get enough time to really to see that, right? To see that take place. Yeah, Gulfam, I agree. I mean, for me personally, the first module, a little bit discouraged, handing back the papers. They just, there wasn't any learning going on. There wasn't any self-editing, self-correction, especially with the amount of time that, the writing teachers spend grading these papers. So I definitely think this was a step forward. First time I've tried out an error log. So, and I think what I'll do in the future is I will record each student's errors, right? So I can have a detailed, more detailed process, a way of tracking, uh, progress, as I've stated, or lack thereof, right? So I can make the, yeah, oh, Chaz, perfect. You didn't see it on my other side, but one thing that I noticed, because it's pushed down, one thing that I noticed that I wrote that they started to take pride, right, in learning from their previous mistakes, right? And I thought that was a really cool factor. They were determined not to make the same mistakes. When I would give them personal feedback, one-to-one or group feedback, you could see that little sparkle, that they were happy, that they did it themselves. And yeah, I thought that was great to see. Sorry, guys, for the format. I can send you the original sources. Yeah, exactly, Jill. And like I said, I didn't get enough feedback. I waited until the last week of module 3. So I would also like to incorporate like a more detailed questionnaire or feedback form. Yeah, definitely. I agree with both of those statements. Um, where was I? Yeah, give it a shot, Jill. There's different ways. I can send you the resources, different things. Ask Jen or myself. And we still have a few minutes. Jen, are you there? Is Jen, because Jen also did this. Oh, could you turn your mic on? Are you allowed to? Ah, all right. Because Jen guided me through this process. Thank you very much, Jen. It was a great experience. I learned many things along the ways about the students, everything else. And so if you're interested, contact Jen or myself. We can help you with it. Thank you all for coming. See you all. Have a good day.